A new report this morning explores the challenges that some Facebook employees say have plagued the social network for years. First, on CBS This Morning, we have a look inside Wired magazine's March 2018 cover story about Facebook. Wired spoke to 51 current and former Facebook employees about their challenges, from battling fake news to questions about user privacy. One executive said the past year has made CEO Mark Zuckerberg much more paranoid about the ways that people could abuse the thing that he built. The company has not yet responded to our request for comment. I'm probably reading the article right now. Wired editor-in-chief and CBS This Morning contributor Nick Thompson co-wrote the article and is joining us now. Nick, great to see you. This is quite the article. The cover shows a beat-up Mark Zuckerberg. Over the past 2 years, you've seen the stock price shoot up. Their revenue's gone up as well. But he's had a lot of other headaches to deal with. Talk about the main ones. Yeah, so the main thesis of the piece is that this has been the hardest 2 years for Zuckerberg. He's had employees who've been upset. He's had massive public criticism. He'd had ex-employees saying that Facebook is tearing apart the fabric of society. But with that image, you can also see he looks confident. So one of the final messages of the piece is that Facebook actually thinks it's starting to solve the problems that it created.
And what's the big problem it thinks it's finally got a handle on?
Well, I think what happened at Facebook is that they didn't understand that the thing could be misused. They really thought that just the more people who use Facebook, the better the world will be. And then they watched in 2016 when it didn't have the best effect on American democracy. It hasn't had the greatest effect on the news industry, and it's had maybe a negative effect on social movements around the world. And so now it's looking at its algorithms and looking at how it can be used.
Was that willful obliviousness because or did they really just not know that it could be abused either by the question of fake news, but also by users who become addicted to it and so forth?
It's super complicated. But for one thing, their economic incentives aligned with them not doing a whole lot about it, right? Because the more it grows, the more money they make. But also, a lot of the problems come about because it is at its core a democratic platform, right? The reason why a fake news publication looks the same as the New York Times essentially in your news feed isn't from malice. It's because they set it up for everything to look the same to give everyone a chance. But down the line, that has a huge effect on civil society.
Talk about some of the things you were able to uncover. First of all, the controversy surrounding Facebook's trending topics.
Yeah, so that was very interesting. So what happened is that there was a story that ran in Gizmodo saying that trending topics, a section in Facebook, is biased against Republicans. And so Facebook reacted very strongly to that. They said, no, we can't have that out there. First of all, they said the story is false. Then they invited all these Republicans to come out to Menlo Park to meet. But what lots and lots of people told us, probably a dozen people at the company told us, is that after that moment, they became really worried about any action that could be seen as against Republicans or against Trump. And that is partly why fake news, which mostly favored Trump, and the Russian operations, which favored Trump, went unnoticed because they had an incentive not to do anything about it. And that was one of the biggest takeaways in our reporting. You also talk about that meeting with Republicans and that they had strategized to bore them as much as they could, right, to get them off topic or some of the tougher questions that they were asking. And you said their internal investigation into trending topics found no systemic bias. What did they do after that investigation? Where did that lead them? That was one of the fun parts. We had people who helped plan the meeting. They not only wanted to bore the Republicans who came in, they wanted to get groups of Republicans from different categories so that they would argue with each other and not be able to make a unified front. After that meeting happened, they started to look in, and they started to look into their news feed. They started to look at some of the biggest questions. Does Facebook drive us apart? Does it make us more partisan? Does news feed favor outreach? And so ultimately, they began those investigations. They didn't pursue them very hard until after Trump had won, and then they started to look more closely at what their algorithms were doing. Go ahead.
Well, in the piece, you employees describe Mark Zuckerberg as not sleeping well at night, humbled, remorseful, and having, quote, truly been altered.
Yeah.
How has he been altered?
Well, I think if you look at his statements, certainly over the past 3 months, he used to just answer every question by saying, if there's a problem in society, more people will use Facebook and the problem will go away. That was essentially his answer. Now he's saying, well, you know what? We need to make sure that people use Facebook well, that it's time well spent. We need to change our algorithms so we favor serious, trustworthy publications. We need to help local news. We need to help civic society. So he's really turning around on all of these issues.
All right, Nick Thompson, quite a read. Congratulations on all your reporting. More than 50 sources, right?
For me and Fred Vogelstein, yeah, thank you.